Welcome to CSOlead.com, the podcast platform where we break down cybersecurity, cloud, and technology topics into practical insights for business and IT leaders. I'm your host, Yavor Zlatev, and each episode we talk with experts who share real-world experience, lessons learned, and actionable advice that you can use right away in your practice. Let's get started. Our guests today are from Acronis, and they will be sharing their experience and best practices. Acronis is a Swiss-based technology company founded in Singapore many years back. Global cybersecurity protection company that provides AI-based cybersecurity solutions, data protection, endpoint management, and much more, covering small, medium-sized, and enterprise scale IT departments and business. Here we are with Slav Umlenov, who is the country manager for Central and Eastern Europe, Mediterranean, Turkey, and also with us Mr. Svetlin Iordanov, who is team lead solution engineering of Acronis. Gentlemen, happy to see you here and you to be part of our first podcast with Acronis. Slav, you can start with short intro on your end.
Hey, hello to everybody, and thanks a lot for the invitation, Yavor. It's actually an honor for us to be in this podcast today, talking about a very important topic, cybersecurity. And thanks a lot once again for the invitation, and happy New Year to all the people who are watching our podcast. Um, I was thinking about before starting the podcast what to show you exactly, and maybe as a short summary, I was thinking about what is the most important thing for a CISO. I would like to do a short summary. Maybe this is a risk, this is a compliance, and to recover fast the business. Three directions. And today, when I'm showing you who we are, what we do, I would like to focus actually your attention, Yavor, into these three directions: reducing the risk again, proving compliance, and recover fast the system, the infrastructure of your company. So this is what I would like to position today. But once again, for the audience and everyone who is watching for the first time our sessions and meeting Acronis for the first time, my name is Slav Umlenov. Most of the people, they know me as just Slav. I'm responsible for the region of Balkans, Mediterranean, Turkey, CIS, and actually all those countries, they're super powerful. You can imagine that we talk for multiple different compliances. This
Quite
one,
big
which
region.
is, yeah, exactly. For example, GDPR, it's part of Europe, but once you look in Turkey we have additional compliances called KVKK. But doesn't matter where you are. In the end of the day, it's a compliance, it's a regulation, which is putting the business to follow something in which they need to comply. And for most of the cases, this is the date. So yeah, this region is quite interesting. Again, I'm saying powerful because what is working in, let's say, in north part of Europe or Eastern European part of in the territory is one thing, but what is working in Turkey maybe is different thing. But in the end of the day, it's again a Acronis, which can fit any kind of business and provides, of course, those three things: reducing the risk, compliance, and fast recovery. So let me share my screen. Actually, I want to show you a few things, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to be interesting for you and for the audience. Screen share. Got it. Hopefully you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Good. Well, first point is I'll skip again my introduction is who are Acronis? Because quite often, whenever I talk with a CISO, whenever I talk with an IT administrator, whenever I talk with someone from the business, everyone is saying, "Hey, Acronis saved my life." I'm like, "Wow, great! Tell me the story." And everyone is starting with the same story. Back in
Backup.
2000, yeah, exactly. Back in 2025, 2026, I had to do cloning, merging, versioning, backup, and that was Acronis. You saved my life. And this is very nice opener for all the discussions. And whenever I show the whole portfolio of Acronis, basically the conversation finished in the following direction. I didn't know what Acronis is doing today. I was thinking about that it's only a backup. And this is the interpretation of many, many, many IT guys, IT professionals, and I believe many CISOs. That's why I wanted to show, of course, our development in the last couple of years. But first and very important is what you mentioned, Swiss Singaporean company. Many people, they know that we have a big R&Ds in Arizona, big R&Ds in Sofia, and also in Singapore. And
Indeed.
even whenever I talk with the European partners, European customers, they're always asking me, "Hey, are you Bulgarian?" The answer is no. We are a Swiss Singaporean company founded back in 2013 in Singapore, as you can see on the slide, quite beautiful city. And we also have a second headquarter in Switzerland. So whenever you think about who are Acronis, we are a Swiss Singaporean company. But the mainly the operations from our R&Ds, they are happening in Arizona, Sofia, and Singapore. Those are our three main hubs. But that doesn't mean that we don't operate outside of those territories. We have more than 33 locations and more than 1,800 employees. Here, quite often the question which I'm receiving is, okay, but do you have third-party solutions? Do you have something which is outsourced? The answer is that we have very limited pieces, and most of the services, actually 99% of everything, is developed on our site. We have more than 300 patents, and out of those 1,800 employees, which you see on the presentation, 1,000 people, they're based in the R&D. And we have very strong expertise, not only in the data protection, but in the complete cyber protection stack.
That's quite impressive, by the way.
Yeah, because most of the times the companies, they're saying, yeah, we have 10,000 people, we have 50,000 people, but it's very important to mention how many of them are based in the R&D, how many of them are responsible for the development of the product. And this is very important, not only because of the size, but also because of the regular development of the product. What means that we release on a monthly basis new functionalities. We are collecting a feedback from the partners. We are collecting a feedback from the customers. What needs to be seen in the product, and that's very important here. But maybe a question here is why this is important for us. The main driver is the digital world, because you can imagine that if we had this podcast maybe 10 years ago, maybe we're going to make it in a completely different way. But even now with this recording, we are generating megabytes or gigabytes maybe. We're uploading this one in the data, and this data we would like to keep it for a certain period of time. That's why the complexity, the cost, the security, and of course the privacy of the data is super crucial for all the individuals, for all the businesses, for all the IT personnel. So this is the main driver of our main growth in the past couple of years, the cyber protection, which is becoming the fifth basic need. And of course, looking into the perspective of our solution, in the past several years, and I'm going to show you on the next slide, we developed a lot. But in the end of the day, the winning strategy is one. And the strategy is called Acronis Cyber Protect. Acronis Cyber Protect is a single pane of glass, in which single pane of glass you're consolidating multiple silhouette solutions into one platform, one agent, and one console. This is extremely important once we talk about integrations and components which are talking to each other. And of course, nowadays we have more than 750,000 businesses which are protected with Acronis, where we cover more than 10 million workloads. And last but not least, it's very, very important to highlight that maybe you have the expertise. Maybe you know how to do this one on your site, on your own. Maybe you have the team. But we have also a channel of expertise, or let's say channel of excellence. These are the partners of Acronis who can deliver the solution and who can manage the solution for you, and you can focus on your business. So that's in a nutshell who we are and what we do nowadays. If you have any questions here, Yavor?
I noticed these 20,000 service providers. for me, that was the question that I was going to raise, how important the service providers are for your business, because there are vendors which don't rely on partners and vendors which are building their portfolio of solutions and their growth based on partners. So that was important question for me, because our audience for sure wants to know in their specific geolocation if they're able to find a good partner, a certified partner, how they can distinguish the partners based on a level, for example, I don't know, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, like most of the vendors do. What is your strategy here, and how you can help the client to distinguish and to find which is the actual service provider for them that is definitely going to deliver good quality work.
Yeah. Well, looking into the channel perspective and in general distributing a solution or a service, even if you look into your phone, for example, there is someone who is delivering this phone to you. If we look into this one, but the phone is easy. You can learn yourself, and actually, most of the people, they know how to work with a mobile phone, right? But once we talk about cyber protection, I wouldn't like to say that it's a rocket science, but it's a very interesting topic. And most of the people, they know some basics, they know some fundamentals.
Yes.
But once we talk about advanced persistent threats, once we talk something which is non-typical, like a behavior, nowadays the AI actually is putting a lot of force into the cyber criminals. I'm gonna go in this direction shortly. You need an expertise. Maybe you know some, but maybe the guy on the other side, who is the cyber criminal, knows even more. And that's why we have this channel of partners, and those partners, we validate them with certifications, with knowledge, with expertise, with what they did, how many workloads they deployed, how many businesses they protect. And that's why we structure them in a different spywars. For example, who is just registered with us, who is authorized, who is gold and already delivered many projects, or who is already platinum partner. The levels are showing you who has the expertise, who has the knowledge, and who can help you to have this peace of mind and sleep well, knowing that you have, of course, the most important thing, your business up and running, no downtime, and risk is limited to zero. So coming back to your point, we rely on partners and their expertise in Acronis and multiple solutions type to time, how to deliver, how to deploy, how to configure, and how to monitor our solution.
In today's world that has so many topics regarding compliance, the first one that you actually start talking about, I think it's super important with who the company is working with, you know, the third party, not just the company that it's managing the solution, but also the vendor. I noticed here also something that I want to ask you about. It's listed 54 global data centers. It's important from perspective of compliance, where the data it's actually is residing. And can you share a bit more about these 54 locations and why that it's important from compliance point of view, and how you have achieved that tremendous amount of locations worldwide?
That's always the question of every single CSO. Where is going to be my data?
Exactly.
And when I was starting, I'll share a short story. When I was starting in Acronis back in 2019, I remember we had around, hopefully I'm not going to give a wrong answer here, but I remember we had around 20, 25, 6, 7 data centers. So we added additional 30, let's say 20, in total 54 until today. And why we did this one? Because even if you look in, let's say, the territory which I'm covering, the data should stay within specific boundaries, within specific territory. And if you have a regulation and compliance for your company, the data to stay in Bulgaria, Romania, Poland, Turkey.
Based on the industry.
Exactly. So that's why this data needs and must to stay there. one additional point. If you look in Turkey, Turkey is not part of EU. Yes, they have territory in Europe, but they're not European country, and they're not part of EU. So they don't have the GDPR compliance. They have completely different compliance, which is saying that data must stay in Turkey.
Yes.
And you can imagine that this is just a small piece of territory, again, Eastern Europe, Balkans, Turkey. But if you look globally, and if you pick up, let's say, a shipping company which has deliveries all around the globe, they need to comply with different regulations, with different laws. That's why it's important to have this global infrastructure of data centers. And practically, we have data center in every single country in which Acronis has presence, sales, and business operating. If you look in Germany, we have 4 data centers in Germany. If you look in the States, we have 5 data centers there, because in the States you have different states. So maybe this is something which is working for, let's say, Washington. It's completely different from this one, which is in California. So this is very important, that we would like to maintain, and actually we have plans to expand even more the infrastructure of the data centers, having also geo redundancy and giving you, again, this peace of mind with limited risk, whatever it happens, that it's going to be mitigated and recovered in terms of the data. But maybe here is the moment, not to focus only on the backup and not to focus only on the data. Our growth in the past several years, starting from 2003, coming to 2026, had a very interesting evolution, because the backup is something which everyone is doing nowadays. It's not a question, should I? The question is, what else I have to do? So if you look in 2003, yes, the backup was a main question. Should I do a backup? But looking into 2019, that's right before COVID, the world started evaluating with more and more ransomware attacks, which ransomware attacks are something which the CISO should think about, because can lead to a downtime. Having a downtime, this is something which you don't want to have. And that's why, coming back to the data centers, we extend the infrastructure of those companies in these data centers, not just to keep the data, but also to have disaster recovery, the so-called business continuity. And if you need to have critical infrastructure up and running, again, giving you an example for Turkey, you're going to have your infrastructure up and running in Turkey. That's why we're looking into this investment for the data centers. But here on the slide, you don't see only the data protection, the backup, the cyber protection. You also see something which was a tremendous in development for Acronis starting from 2024. This is the so-called RMM, remote management and monitoring. After the COVID era, the post-COVID era, you can see that many employees, they're working from home. Even today, I was thinking about to work from home, but yeah, in the last moment I had to go, and I had a very nice surprise with the snow, and I was late, but never mind. The RMM is something which helps to the CISO and helps to the companies to remotely managing the workloads and monitor what's going on with this laptop for which I'm talking to you today, maybe at my location, at home. But maybe if I want to go and get, let's say, I'm not going to make a commercials, but saying a coffee, I'm going to the coffee shop next to me, ordering a coffee, connecting to the public Wi-Fi, that's a risk.
Indeed.
And this is what we are trying to mitigate additionally with the RMM. And what you see in the 2026, starting from this year, everyone is talking about AI. We have massive plans and massive roadmap for the next couple of years until 2030 to implement AI in majority of our functionalities for automating daily tasks, routine tasks, and have this hyper automation. We already have AI since 2017 and 18 in our solutions against ransomware. We have it in many other functionalities, but again, the main trend is this one, that starting from the backup, you go to full automation through AI. And just to come back to the question, which I'm thinking about, that most of the CISOs are having in mind, can I use, for example, Azure? Can I use another data center? Because yes, Acronis, they have a very nice infrastructure of data centers, but I want to keep my data in another cloud, in another location. The answer is yes, because we don't want to limit you in those 54 locations. We don't want to come to you and say, hey, you're the CISO, but you need to follow our game. We follow yours, and we follow your recommendations and whatever it works for you. So if you would like to keep the data in any of those locations across the globe of Acronis, you can do that. But if you have, again, a compliance to keep it locally, you can keep it locally. You can keep it in Azure, you can keep it in Google, you can keep it in any S3 compatible storages. So again,
so practically you're complementing the services of the public cloud providers like Google, like Microsoft, like a third party providing a lot of functionalities, features, not just the backup, but also the cybersecurity functionalities that you have, including the disaster recovery locations that the customer can get from you. So we can imagine a situation when the customer is located, for example, in Google Cloud, but wants to have their data in an independent provider, independent service provider or vendor. So practically they can have their resources also working on the Acronis side only when it's needed, or 24/7 whatsoever, creating disaster recovery points for presence. Correct?
Correct, absolutely correct. And one more thing, which is related to money, because in the end of the day, the CISO, he has great ideas. He's delivering the budget to the CFO, and the CFO is saying, can we cut this cost? Can we cut this cost? Because
Very common.
the CFO is looking in the numbers. The CISO is
Yes.
looking into the risk of the company. Time to time, actually, the CISO is working also with the chief risk officer. Quite often, I see this one in the companies. But what is my point here? Having everything in the big hyperscalers like Microsoft, Google, that's fine. But in the end of the day, someone needs to pay this money. And
Indeed.
if you're looking for alternative, but this alternative not to, let's say, decrease your cyber protection level, you can go with Acronis. You can have a disaster recovery site in Acronis. You can do it with us. Maybe you can keep this one in Azure, which you have already. You can have also integration where you use our orchestration from Acronis and use Azure data centers. So there are multiple different scenarios, but again, we don't want to decrease the level of security once you decrease the total cost of ownership. So you decrease the total cost of ownership, but you have, again, reliable cybersecurity. And this is very important because once you look into the traditional non-integrated cybersecurity solutions, we have three directions, which are actually giving an open door for the cyber criminals. The first one I already mentioned is a growing attack surface. So if you go to the coffee shop, you're already having a growing attack surface because you're not in the office, you're not here, where everything is protected, where everything is in the corporate environment. And that's why quite often we see a mix of on-prem, cloud, private, and public cloud
That's very common.
infrastructures. Yeah. This is where you can integrate Acronis. This is where Acronis can have multiple different workloads protected in the single dashboard, in a single console. And this is something which is giving you really nice integration side. So you as a CISO see everything there. On the other side, what we see quite often is that there are a lot of infrastructure gaps, because in the past 20 years, what we're doing most of the times, the IT administrators and the IT personnel and the procurement, they were working in silos. I need the backup. Okay, they buy the backup. I need the security. They buy the security. I need something else, let's say RMM functionality, vulnerability assessment, patch management.
Without
So,
strategy.
yeah, they have different solutions for the different directions. But the problem is that You have how many people? Yeah, I don't know. You're a CISO, maybe two, three people. I don't know how big is the size of your company, but those guys, they're overwhelmed because they need to learn three different solutions. They need to know how to work with them.
Yep.
Those solutions, in most of the cases, they're not talking to each other. And if something is happening with the backup, they cannot, let's say, integrate the cybersecurity and clean up the backup if there is something already there. That's why the non-integrated cybersecurity solutions, they fail. And I'm going to give you a real example here. If you have an incident, and if you detect this incident with Acronis, with our detection and response, during the mitigation steps, you can also recover from the backup. Because again, it's connected. It's working.
And you have one console for that. That's my understanding.
Exactly. And this one helps to you to have this recovery, fast recovery.
Indeed, what you're opening as a topic, just to add to that, it's very crucial for people in my shoes for one simple reason. There is lack of skillful people in every company. It's common, especially in the area of information security. And if there are too many vendors in one IT environment which has to talk to each other, let's say, or that information has to be shared or to be managed, that creates even sometimes an operational chaos that has to be mitigated in a certain way. Because cybersecurity at the end of the day is management of people, process, and technology. So technology and what technology we are choosing in the environment, it's crucially important. At least on my side, sitting in these shoes, I always want to find a good combination of vendors, because we have been talking about security gaps between different vendors that are going to work well together, or let's say the security gaps are going to be less that can get introduced, because in every IT environment, the idea of having just one vendor nowadays, it is not possible. Every customer has a combination of vendors, combination of clouds, hybrid setups, on-premise, etc., which creates the main challenge for that.
Fully agree, and actually this one comes back to the point which was on the first slide, the chain of partners. Nowadays, we have, if I'm not wrong, 3.5 million open positions worldwide for cybersecurity technicians, experts, and so on. You can imagine this is massive number worldwide, of course. Maybe for the different territories we have different numbers, but you can imagine that there is a lack of talents. And here it comes the partner, here it comes the provider. Because this provider, he's doing this one on a daily basis. They have the expertise, they have the knowledge. Having multiple solutions, maybe in some directions works, but in the direction of total cost of ownership and integration and components that are talking to each other, and last but not least, the partner who is managing this one for you, this is much more easy, much more efficient, and much more secure.
So what you're saying is practically is that even if the information security department is small, the fact that the Acronis works with many partners can help the CSO actually to get a good service, to put the things together, to put the dots together, let's say the IT environment, and with small internal resources to be able to manage their environment well at a cost-efficient way. That's my understanding.
Absolutely, that's the point here. That many companies, they don't have big teams. They have one person who is doing everything, and everyone is calling him, "Hey, I need a new keyboard. I need a new mouse. I don't have the printer is not working." So these guys quite often they're not becoming a security experts. They're becoming a one-man show. He's doing everything in the company.
Yes.
And here it comes the moment where you can provide, let's say, this responsibility to an external company who is going to be your managed service provider, who can manage this one for you. And not only managing, but also monitoring, because here on the last pillar, you see cyber threats. And this is actually the main driver of most of the compliances, of most of the investments, of most of the new regulations all across the board. Because ransomware is the first thing. Ransomware exists for a long, long time, encrypting the data, stopping the businesses, leading to a downtime. And this is actually the word which no one wants to look into, downtime. I think everyone hates this word from the CISO world. So ransomware is not just targeted anymore. So it's not just like if I'm the cyber criminal saying, hey, I want to target Yavor and I want to attack Yavor. It's automated. The AI is doing this one. And of course, if you have vulnerabilities which are in your
Indeed.
network, they can be discovered with AI tools and automatically to deploy the, let's say, the threats. And that's one of the direction of the cyber threats. Another direction of the cyber threats is that the cyber criminals, they don't act anymore like seeing you, attacking you, encrypting your data. The advanced persistent threat, the first bullet point, means that they enter in your infrastructure, they stay in your infrastructure for a certain period of time. They monitor your processes, they monitor what you do, how you do it, your employees, and they extract the data. They delete the backups. Then they start asking you for the payment because they have your data, you don't have your backups. That's why you need to implement a solution which is giving you the cybersecurity. And here it's interesting because Acronis invests a huge amount of our R&D, of our investors in the last couple of years to develop the cybersecurity portfolio. And nowadays, in 2026, I can say that Acronis has not just the data protection, the disaster recovery, the management, but also has the full-blown security solution. And mentioning investments, actually, we had a couple of rounds from Goldman Sachs, from CVC Capital, which were invested exactly into development of the product. But this is another topic. Maybe in the next podcast we can go into this direction, investments and future development of the Acronis solution. I just want to finish here that using Acronis as a complete solution is giving you those 3 points. Native integration, because all the components they're talking to each other. We follow a compliance, which I'm pretty sure that this is the NIST framework.
Yep.
And all those integrations between the different components, they're giving you high efficiency. And this high efficiency, of course, you can do it with your team or again with an external partner who is providing this one to you. Last but not least, everything is built for you. Everything is built for an IT department to have full capabilities of the NIST framework. And I'm going to touch this topic if you allow me here for a few more minutes. The NIST framework, it's actually the direction that Acronis follows. So we follow the identifying of the network with the governance, with protection, detection, response, and recovery. If you look in those 6 directions, in every single direction, we have a functionality. So instead of having 6 different solutions, or let's say 3 or 4, having 3, 4 different invoices, here you have everything under one umbrella. And this one is giving you the low total cost of ownership, the compliance which you can address. Let's say in Europe NIS2, again in Turkey KVKK, maybe DORA if you're in the financial world. This could be achieved with Acronis. This is where we go. This is where we focus in this framework of the NIST.
Actually, the fact that you have so many functionalities starting from the backup, from what I can see, to disaster recovery, and putting on top of that the cybersecurity layer, it's a huge unique selling point for Acronis, because there are not so many vendors worldwide which can have the data actually which you are protecting with the backup. It's the pivot point, the crucial element that we are here to protect. And you're putting these elements together: the protection of the data, the backup of the data, plus the cybersecurity pillar, which makes a lot of sense, especially presented in this way.
This is what we follow. This is where we see our roadmap, those 6 directions, and developing all the 6 directions with additional functionalities and features. Because again, we don't believe that if we develop just this part here, the recovery, what we did in the past, it's going to help to you as a CISO to be with peace of mind and again, low risk for your company. Because if you have a great recovery, but you don't have good response or good detection, it's not gonna work. And this is why we fall that point of the NIST, which could be translated into a different compliance across the board.
Indeed.
And of course, very important point for any of the CISOs. Whenever we talk with them, they're always saying, "Hey, where you are? You know that we have different quadrants. Where you stay? Who is testing you? Do you have compliance for ICO, for example?" Quite often, the question is that you can find all these alliances, certifications, and memberships even in the web on your own. I mean, you can go and browse and search what are the results of Acronis for AV test, what are the results of Acronis for AC labs. There you can see, but it's important to say that also a very important security data protection analysts and recognitions are happening nowadays with Acronis. If you look into the picture where we stand nowadays for security, top right corner, where we stay for data protection, top right corner. Something very important is that at the moment we are scaling our solution for remote management and monitoring, which is becoming a very, very important requirement for all the CISOs. That's why Acronis is not just a backup nowadays. It's not just one solution. It's a platform, which platform, again, it's ease of use, giving you this ease of use. It's quite efficient and fully integrated. But when you ask maybe yourself for what I can use Acronis, I want to give you just 5 directions which you need to remember for today, and maybe we can switch to the second part of our podcast. The 5 directions are detection and response on the top layer, where you can use our solution for endpoint detection and response, extended detection and response, correlating from different indicators of compromise and having correlations in the platform. We have MDR, and I'm pretty sure that most of the CISOs nowadays, they're thinking about for 24/7 monitoring. This one is upcoming with Acronis. We have now early access program for the 24/7 security operations center of Acronis. Something else, which is the second point here, this SaaS security. Most of the business is already in the cloud, and quite often the businesses are using M365, for example. I don't want to make any commercials, but let's say M365. And they say, I don't care about the endpoint. I have everything in 365. If I need to recover, I'm going to recover. That's fine. You have OneDrive, SharePoint, Teams, whatever. But you need to protect this solution. And here we have quite often discussions with quite experienced CISOs. Why I need to protect the emails? You should. And here it comes the point that we have email security, which can protect the SaaS, the software as a service applications as well. We have the backup. Of course, we have the backup. It's there, and it's quite often the case that some of the CISOs, they're start using the backup, then going to the EDR, then going to the email security, then extend with disaster recovery. This is the beautiful part of the console, that you can attach additional functionalities on top on the same agent. Moving to the remote management and monitoring, it's not just monitoring, it's also patch management. I can say that we have one of the biggest and the broadest application catalog that we support for the patching. We have unique functionalities. Maybe you saw blue screen of death in your career, but what you can do with Acronis is, if you see the blue screen of death, you can roll back to the last state of the machine with the backup. This is a unique functionality for Acronis. And last but not least, the automation. This is something which you're going to see more often in the next year with us. This is the AI automated, let's say, daily tasks which you have and which you need to do. So either the partner can do it for you, either you can automate those processes, or the best one is to give to the partner to monitor, to automate, and to protect your infrastructure, and simply to outsource. But again, it's up to you. here I would like to stop because I can talk for many hours for all those.
Indeed, I have some questions, but you directly or indirectly you have answered some of the questions that I was going to ask, which means you are prepared to talk in front of Chief Information Security Officer. What I have learned so far is that Acronis is feature-rich solution that offers practically full stack of coverage, starting from the backup of offering vulnerability assessment, patch management, XDR, EDR, MDR, which is planned practically in your roadmap. It covers the governance requirements in different geolocations based on the company regulations, which you have mentioned. You have showed even the certifications that are being followed. From a perspective of well architected from perspective well architected topic, because we spoke about cloud integrations here with Google, with Microsoft. That integration that you have, for example, with Microsoft for the backup of the emails or any other integration for backing up of data, does not follow the well architected security pillar, because practically this means that it's third party. Acronis is connected to the Microsoft environment and backing up data, let's say it like that, from the Microsoft tenant. Are you following this security best practices, and can you say some words about this?
And thanks a lot for the question here, Yavor, because this is something very important, not only for the CISOs, but in general. Because I know that you or someone else who is responsible for IT infrastructure, they have something in place already. And they need to integrate this one, either with Acronis or with another solution. We have the so-called integrations or solutions.acronis.com, where we can integrate Acronis with more than 300 different applications. This one specifically with Microsoft, with Google, with the third-party cloud applications, they're out of the box. What means that we validated all those integrations. They're validated from our side, they're validated from Microsoft's side, so they're fully compliant. And talking about for the M365 integration, again, out of the box from our console, you can integrate your M365 organization without having any risk of a breach, without having any open APIs. And this is something which you can do it with few clicks. You just need your global admin credentials. Immediately you have auto discovery in our console, and you see your whole organization of the 365 there. And then, of course, you can apply the backup, you can apply those multiple functionalities here, which you see. Answering your question, it's validated, it's secure, and it's compliant.
Okay. My other question is, because Acronis is cloud also, my understanding is that this multi-tenant environment practically being cloud, how you're separating the actual tenants. So, the Chief Information Security Officer, to be sure that he decides to use Acronis, practically his tenant is not going to be in any way touched by someone else. It's going to be like fully protected
That's a
environment,
very good point.
not only on the side of the backup, but also on the side of any type of crucially important information, security information that could be shared, especially when we're talking about integrations with third parties that you have mentioned.
Last year, in September, we announced globally a change. And after this change, I was receiving a few phone calls from, again, partners, customers. Hey, that's a great move. We announced the multi-factor authentication, and whenever we talk about access to the tenants, it's not that easy if you don't have this multi-factor authentication. Even yesterday, we were in a meeting with Svetlin, and in this meeting, the guys, they were struggling to open the tenants because the guy left the company and they didn't have the multi-factor authentication key.
That's a good example.
That's what we had and still having in mind, multi-factor authentication. Talking for additional layer of protection, if I can say it like this, we have the by default immutability of the backups. So for the 14 days, you cannot switch off the backup. So even if someone is deleting the backup, internal threats, cyber criminal, or who else, you can recover from the immutable backups. So this is in terms of additional layers of protection. We have the encryption. This is very important as well, end-to-end encrypted security.
At rest or in transit? I mean, the encryption, also the backup, the actual
in
data.
rest and in transit, we have both.
Okay.
And we have different, algorithms to encrypt the data up to AES 256. And this is what we do in terms of additional layers of protection. Our data centers, again, the infrastructure there is also secured. We actually picked up always secure data centers where we collocate.
Physical security. So
yes,
we're talking about
all the certifications, SOC 2 types, CSAs, ICOs. We follow all the time those certifications. And actually, that's this on the Acronis website. I'm just thinking about to share with you and to the audience. Whenever you go to the Acronis website, and this is a good exercise. I'm going to share my screen. You can simply go to the trust center of Acronis, and here you can see all the security and industry standards that we follow. And they're split in different directions, for example, security, compliances, privacy, data centers. Here you can see all the information which is important for you in terms of how secure is your tenant. But in a nutshell, we never get a breach, and I'm proud to say this one.
I was going to ask you.
Always 99.99% SLAs, and this is the most important thing which I saw in the last couple of years, 7 years in Acronis, that the solution is reliable, is there, and the customers, whenever they start using Acronis, they start with maybe with one service, then they go with a full consolidation of multiple solutions into Acronis.
But do you have also? I mean, it's good what you're saying. Very good, actually. That no cybersecurity incidents on the side of the vendor. But I mean, supporting so many data centers, that means periods from maintenance. Sometimes hardware is falling apart. Things which are normal, networks not connecting well, etc., etc. Do you have a good notification system for your customers, so they know, for example, when a data center is experiencing issues, and based on obviously where data is located, so they can connect the dots of that their data the moment it's, I'm not saying at risk, but there is some maintenance to the data center, or there is lack of connectivity, something like that. Do you have in place that can help?
Thanks for the question. We have this on for the past 3 years. I'm just trying to log in now and to show you. Maybe next time, or I can send additionally to you. We have in our partner portal, and that's why this one is leading me back to the question, should I use a service provider? Should I do it on my side? My recommendation is to get connected to a service provider of Acronis, because the service provider can give you, and they have the access to this maintenance tab in their partner portal, where they can see all the data centers, 54 data centers, when they have planned maintenance. Based on this one, they can plan and say, okay, we're going to have a downtime of, let's say, 1 hour here. So this is planned maintenance. What I need to do, plan the next steps. Maybe here I'm going to come back again to the point with the service providers. Maybe you have the expertise, maybe you have the team, but it's not a bad idea to focus on someone who has the expertise on a daily basis. This one again leads me to a real story. We have one of our most impressive partners in Bulgaria, and one of their customers was calling us, hey, we're trying to do patching, but we cannot do patching. What's going on here? The protection plan doesn't work. We noticed and we understand with the partner that actually the poor management on the side of the customer, it didn't help them to provide and to do successful patching. Once the partner step in there, they managed to help them, they managed to provide them the needed the needed expertise to perform the patching in a proper way. And guess what? They're happy now. They're staying with us. And again, I would like to say a big thank you to the partners because they know how the solution works. That's why we have this structure of gold, platinum levels. They can come to you and they can say, hey, tomorrow we have maintenance. This one is going to help. This one is going to happen. That's why I rely on them, and they can give you all those, let's say, flags or notifications where we are going to have maintenance and so on. Answering the question
That's
about the
very
data,
important.
you know where the data is always. You can request it to be sure that the data is in specific data center. We can provide the data center locations if it's needed. Time to time, the CISOs, they need to know the exact location. We can do that as well.
The common question that CSO would be asking is, do you provide such type of level of reporting that could be used for board meetings, for communication with C-level executives? I'm
Yeah.
asking that because it's, I mean, every IT manager is going to be is supposed to manage quite a lot of IT solutions, and it's very important the reporting functionality that you have reporting functionality which shows something else, also the
Mm.
access to the systems. I mean, who is having what type of access, to the system,
Mhm.
reporting about who has access, what, etc., which are common question, especially when we're talking about data. We're
Mhm.
not talking about DLP, we're talking about access to the solution
Data. Yeah.
itself. Yes.
Maybe here, I would like to step in with the introduction of Svetlin, one of our best solution engineers across the territory. Hello, Svetlin. Um,
Hello.
Hello, Svetlin.
I can answer to Yavor directly and saying, hey, Yavor, yes, we have these reporting dashboards, executive reports which you can
Um,
do.
before going into that, I have one additional question, which is more commercial question for our audience before Svetlin stepping into the demo of Acronis. Your pricing model, my understanding is that your pricing model works all together with the partners that you have. So practically, the solutions can be purchased through the partner network, and it's a monthly pricing model. At least that's what I know about Acronis. Can you just share 1 or 2 minutes
Yeah, sure.
some words about this, because it's important, how that works, so the customer to know what to expect, for Acronis in
Sure,
their cloud.
sure. So Svetlin, keep in mind for the dashboard reporting for the executive reports, which Yavor mentioned. Coming back to the pricing and licensing, again, I'm going to tell you a story. Back in 2022, before or right around COVID, you know what happened? Most of the businesses, they were buying perpetual licenses. They were buying forever license. I want to buy it today until 2030, 40. I want to use this
There are still
license.
businesses which wants to buy that just
Maybe.
because they're used to, indeed.
And what we noticed back in the time, because, during the COVID time, everyone was thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen the day after. We completely switched, I would say 90% of the business to this model where they pay monthly. They have this peace of mind. I have a monthly payment. I'm not paying upfront huge amount of money.
For what they're using, like the public cloud, practically in
Exactly.
most of the
So
cases.
they have this option to pay monthly. Of course, depends on the model from the provider. Maybe they can pay annually. I see quite often the cases where they invoice them monthly or annually upfront, but we have this flexibility. And in terms of flexibility, we have additional two sub bullet points. One of them is that we can, let's say, organize the billing based on the volume of gigabytes. Because some businesses they're saying, hey, I don't care about the workloads. I have multiple workstations, many VMs, virtual machines, and servers, but I want to protect 1 terabyte of data or 2 terabyte of data. We can do that. On the other side, we can protect multiple workloads. Maybe they have, I don't know, 5 servers, 5 virtual machines, 10 workstations. They're flexible. And maybe for the third time in our podcast, this is what I love in the partners. They're flexible. They can provide to you a scheme which is going to work based on your budget. And you as a
It's
CISO,
quite flexible, what
yeah,
you're
and
saying.
you as a CISO, if you have budget limitation from your CFO and he's coming and saying, hey, in this quarter, I'm going to give you X amount of money. For the half one of 2026, I'm going to give you another amount of money. You're flexible. You can deal and you can, again, get cyber protected from Acronis. You can have this peace of mind. You have the flexibility. You want to pay monthly, that's fine. You want to pay upfront for 1 year, that's fine. But it's all about
And how it can scale. I mean, if the customer says, for example, uh, if they want to increase the resources now, are they have to wait for the month to be over, or practically the increase of services can happen at any time? You know, from
I'll
commercial and
come
from operational perspective, it's important.
I'll come back to the presentation if you allow me. So this
Yes.
one, just 1 second. So if you start, for example, and this is the most beautiful part of the console, that once you deploy the agent on the endpoint, maybe workstation, maybe virtual machine, maybe server, once you deploy the agent is there. The functionality which you pick up today, for example, is a backup. You just start with a backup. Tomorrow, if you want to add additional functionality, there are two things. The first thing is that, of course, you need to discuss the pricing, for example, for the EDR, XDR, MDR with your provider, with your partner. And the second thing is that you just need to click enable in the console. It's super
Very
easy.
easy.
Yeah, super easy. And you can immediately have this functionality there. One additional point, you can always test our solutions. We have free trial because you want to see what's going to be the performance. You want to see how we are going to act. Maybe you want to test it. And one final story, I promise. I remember a few years ago, one of the, I'm not going to mention which country, but one of very big bank, international bank, they called to a partner and the partner called us and they said, this guy is not sleeping well. Literally, I'm saying this is what they said. We are not sleeping well. We were asking, okay, what's the reason? They were using an enterprise solution infrastructure. Again, I'm not going to mention names, but he said we paid hundreds of thousands of euros, but we don't have ransomware protection. This guy came only to test the ransomware protection. He was testing our functionality called active protection, I think for several weeks or even 1 month plus, with different samples of ransomwares. He was using Run Simulator, if I'm not wrong. Then he came back and started asking additional questions. Hey, I saw the ransomware protection. It's great. I want to buy it. But I saw that you have backup. I saw that you have detection response. I saw that you have management. And he was amazed that he can consolidate everything in a single pane of glass.
Even I see it as a unique selling point.
Yeah,
Because
so
the time is pressing us. Let's give Svetlin some minutes, to show exactly what you have been talking about. This cloud console, how it looks like. I want to put a special note here and attention mainly for the audience to see how the console looks like. All of these main elements where they're located in the console, and from CSO perspective, obviously to talk about reporting, to talk about access control, and things that are important for everyone in these shows. Svetlin, can you please show us?
Absolutely. This is the very first question of every CISO. How can I see the health of my infrastructure? How can I see what is happening? How can I see what kind of incidents do I have? So Slav mentioned about natively integrated platform, meaning that the different modules in the platform, they talk to each other. Here you can see the main dashboard where all the functionalities can be managed from a single point. We spoke about backup, business continuity, disaster recovery. Here I can see, being a CISO, I can see, for example, what is the status of my malware protection. Also, with web protection on every endpoint. At the moment, I don't have anything to worry about. Here I can see what kind of vulnerabilities are existing in the network, what kind of patches are ready to install. You mentioned about activities earlier, about reporting about activities. So in real time, I have full visibility here in my dashboard. For example, for today, I have more than 100 successful activities. I have 7 warnings. I have 3 activities which are failed. I can focus to mitigate them. Here, for example, for vulnerability assessment and patch management, I have in that environment, I have 10 machines. 9 of them are absolutely okay, but there is one high-risk vulnerable machine which I can easily access and mitigate. In few words, actually, the dashboard is allowing you to have full visibility in real time, and also it is highly interactive. We spoke about using AI, so we use a lot of different AI technologies, both for automation of different tasks on a daily basis, and also for raising up the securities. What I'm showing now here is the monitoring dashboard, but at the same time we have a possibility to generate reports in the same format. Here, if you want to have those reports sent to the management board, if you want to have those reports sent to the leading administrators, so that they to be aware of the status of the environment. And coming back to the point that at every minute first I need to have visibility, but second I need to have tools in my hands to mitigate incidents. For example, if I go here to the alerts, I see that I have thousands of alerts, could have thousands of alerts, and I need automation. So I can use, for example, we have one nice functionality which is called workflows to automate my daily tasks, so that to automatically to perform some tasks. But in the beginning, everything starts with setting up the environment. So I have also nice tool set to to discover all of the devices in my environment, fully to automate the process. I remember one conversation with one CISO who said, okay, I have different sites in my organization. I want to be able to scan my networks, because in some networks I have active directories, in other networks I don't have active directories, but I want to be able automatically to scan to discover the devices. Yes, absolutely.
So that can help also the company to create an inventory list practically for of devices, because that's
absolutely
also something that most of the companies not have, and it looks like an operational question, but also it's a CSO question at the end of the day. What is the risk exposure that we have, and practically what devices we have? Sometimes the companies doesn't know what they have in their environment. They believe that they know, but if without scanning, they don't know.
Absolutely. As soon as I scan the network, all of the devices here, you see the discovered devices. All of the devices will pop up here. I can create workflows to follow that process on. For example, as soon as the device is being discovered, I can create a workflow to do certain actions on that device. When the device is discovered and registered, I can create a workflow based on that trigger to perform certain activities. And if we go here, even I can run scripts. I mean, I can automate some tasks which are existing in the platform, but some tasks I need to run scripts to automate them. Yes, okay, absolutely possible here. And coming back to the security point, which we spoke about in the beginning, it is very easy when there is an incident, for example, here, either automatically to be mitigated, or
Is that escalated somehow? I mean, are there any levels where actually an incident based on the severity level can get escalated?
Absolutely. You can
Okay.
do so. So I jumped in directly in that incident. Here we
Okay, this is XDR. Okay.
yeah, we have different possibilities to mitigate that incident, or being in the shoes of cybersecurity expert who is managing the security posture in the organization. I can assign this incident to somebody from my team to take care of, and then here you can see the power of this natively integrated platform. So I have access basically to everything, to cyber scripting, to remote management of that incident, to isolation and remediation of the device, and which is super unique for Acronis here. Without the need to go in different platform, I can quickly recover either in the disaster recovery
Working
cloud
backup.
or from backup. Yeah.
One question that comes to my mind is, are you checking the backups actually for malicious code that it's somehow injected in the backups, because that happen if a traditional backup solution is used? So
Yeah, very, very important question. So the first point is to have backups, but then the next point is to make sure that those backups are
clean.
absolutely free from malware. And yes, this is also another unique point of Acronis, that we are scanning the backups for malware, and also we are validating the backups. So to
Okay.
make sure that we not only have the backups, but they are valid and they are free from malware.
In most big enterprise IT environments, there is SIEM and SOAR usually. I see that there is written SIEM in your console. What are your plans about SIEM functionality? Are you planning on top of the XDR and MDR functionality to offer SIEM console, so the actually who is using the product to be able to see all of the logs? Having said also that you have integrations with different third parties, like for example the Microsoft or probably many others. Are you considering SOAR type of implementations in the future? How that works?
In our platform, we use a lot of different SIEM technologies, a lot of different SOAR technologies. I mentioned that see, being a natively integrated platform, we can work with all of the modules inside of the platform. And in our platform, we are focused on the endpoint and on the users who are authenticated on that endpoint, and all of the events which are happening around that endpoint and those users. And then,
User-centric
yeah, and endpoint centric.
endpoint. Yes.
And then we can, and then it comes the integration with other SIEM solutions, because we are complementing them. Actually, all of this information can be then later exported and loaded into the global SIEM solution of the organization. But here, yes, we use different SIEM and SOAR technologies so that to be able quickly to mitigate incidents.
Okay, very interesting. Can you show us, because we don't have a lot of time till the end of the planned time for the podcast, also how the I mean a generated report perhaps some just to show to the audience how the report functionality looks like, you know.
Yeah, I showed. I have shown already the dashboard. Actually,
So it looks like similar to the dashboard, probably in a PDF
yes,
format.
and you can
Okay.
tailor exactly the reporting to your needs. So we have
Okay.
hundreds of widgets that can be put here, so that to the
That's
information
nice.
to be pulled out, yeah, and sent.
So based on the environment, practically, the reports can be super customized
Absolutely,
and
absolutely,
also sent automatically to the required parties.
absolutely.
Okay. You mentioned Slav mentioned about Microsoft integration and email security, probably email backup, especially with Microsoft. Can you just say a few words, probably about 2-3 minutes max, and we can conclude the podcast today about the Microsoft integration? It was mentioned, and I think it's super cool, to see it from that perspective, from perspective of backup, from perspective of email protection. It looks like a full stack solution on your end, and I think we can see it during that podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Acronis is quite unique because it offers the so-called 7-in-1 protection for Microsoft 365. So we start from backing up the Microsoft 365 resources, but also we have email security, collaboration application security. This functionality is super cool, Microsoft 365 management and monitoring, because it rapidly simplifies the daily operations on Microsoft environment with the embedded baselines and with dashboards for the security posture. We have also possibility to, as you mentioned, to filter the SMTP traffic and to protect from all the threats which are coming from the email. Yeah, pretty much complex protection.
Security awareness training, which it's very important for every CSO, because
exactly
through
it
emails,
goes, yeah,
through emails, companies are receiving a lot of they're receiving a lot of usually dangerous emails. So phishing simulations
yeah,
are important to educate the people in the organization.
Absolutely, yeah. Since there is no time, we strongly encourage the the audience to test the platform, meaning that it's very easy to test the platform, and every time you need to when you test it, you can feel it yourself and see what you can do with it.
Thank you very much for today. We want to keep the format, a certain amount of time that we have. Thank you both, Slav and Svetlin, for the great meeting and for the podcast that we have recorded today. It was really impressive what Acronis do today, and I'm sure the audience is going to learn a lot from the podcast.
Thanks for the invitation. Yeah, we're looking forward for the next one, and hopefully that again, any of the CISOs who are watching this podcast now, again, they saw the added value to limit the risk again, to be compliant, and to have fast recovery with Acronis. If you have questions, again, feel free to contact us. We're gonna help you with next step suggestions and demonstrations.
I think the next detailed podcast that we're gonna have, on the specific topics are going to be more helpful. So everyone from the audience can pick up practically features or topics that are more interesting to them. I should say thank you once again and have a lovely day today. Thank you.
Thank you, Yavor.
Thank you.
Bye. Take care.